everybody, and welcome to another video in my series where I listen to classic albums for the first time. And we're back to Pink Floyd. So if you've watched the rest of this series, you'll know that this series was basically influenced by Pink Floyd. It all began when I was showing off my CD collection, and I showed this CD, The Best of Pink Floyd, A Foot in the Door. And I sort of said that, I picked this up because I never really sort of got what Pink Floyd was about, why they were so popular. And I listened to this, and whilst I like quite a few of the tracks on it, I still didn't really get Pink Floyd. And Paul Aidan, aka Vinyl Junkie, recommended that I pick up either Dark Side of the Moon or Wish You Were Here and give it a proper listen, and might be a good idea to sort of do a video reacting to it. So that inspired the series, and although that album inspired the series, it wasn't the debut album in the series. That was Simon and Garfunkel, Bridge Over Troubled Water. But I think the second album that I listened to in this series was Dark Side of the Moon, which I liked. Musically, I like Pink Floyd, but I still didn't really get the album. There was sort of the biggest bugbear for me was the speaking in the voices throughout it. James Griffiths very kindly then posted a video sort of trying to explain Pink Floyd, which helped a bit. And Paul had also, as I said, Paul had suggested getting Dark Side of the Moon or Wish You Were Here. So I got Wish You Were Here as well. Did a video for that one. Preferred it to Dark Side of the Moon. It was more up my alley. Didn't have the voices for a start. Certainly appreciated Pink Floyd more after that and the help I'd been given, but still find them a bit too dark and morose for my tastes. There's places for that, but I don't really want a whole album of it for a start. Or I don't mind dark themes, but done a bit more upbeat, sort of Nick Cavey, who, he does his dark songs, but in a catchy, upbeat kind of way. Anyway, but I'm going one more time with Floyd for The Wall. It seems to be an album that divides people. I know James Griffiths struggles with this album, whereas other people think it's their best. So it'll be interesting. James also reckons I'll probably end up loving this more than the other albums. Certainly funkier, apparently, which sort of surprised me. Both the other two albums had sort of funky elements, which I wasn't expecting and enjoyed. So yes, going to give this a listen. This copy is a brand new sealed copy, or it was sealed, I've opened it, that I bought from HMV. They had a sale at the start of the first lockdown. I can't remember, it was either cheap or it was in a 2 for 30 or something like that, but I picked up quite a few albums in that sale, most of which are in this series. So yes, this is a new reissue of the album. As you probably know, it's a double album. Obviously I know Another Brick in the Wall, part whatever it is, it was a single, part 2. That was a Christmas number 1, 1980, I think it was. And I know Wish You Were Here, and I know I'm looking at the wrong track listing. Wish You Were Here's on Wish You Were Here. I was just thinking, I didn't realise that was on this as well. I know Another Brick in the Wall part 2. I know Comfortably Numb, although as I've said before, at this stage I do prefer the Scissor Sisters version, which I know is probably sacrilege to many, but it was the first version of it I heard for a start. And, it perfectly describes, it's a miserable song, if you like, but done in a catchy way by the Scissor Sisters. But yes, looking forward to giving this a listen, which I will do so now, and I'll see you in a minute. Okay, I'm halfway through. I'm going to do this because there's a lot of music there. So by the time I got to the end of the fourth side, I think I'd have forgotten a lot of this. So I'm going to go through the first disc, then listen to the second disc, talk about that, and then wrap it all up. So it opens with In the Flesh, and there's a gramophone opening before it crashes in with an epic guitar, organ and drum led riff. Gave me a sort of Meatloaf, Bat of Hell-esque vibe. But then it slows right down for the vocals, and then it crashes in with the music, the riff at the end. Good opener. And you hear an airplane, sort of dogfight crashing and it goes into the thin ice, which opens with a baby crying. Sort of a slow ballad over synths. Sort of a 50s vibe, not in the instrumentation, but in the melody, particularly the keys. And towards the end, the guitar kicks in. The guitar work throughout this album so far has been great. And that goes into Another Brick in the Wall Part 1. And this is sort of a funky version of Another Brick in the Wall, the funky riff, great guitar work on it, that catchy melody, which was the reason why Part 2 got to number 1. But yeah, I love this slower take, and as I say, the guitar work on it is excellent. Then we've got a helicopter and a bit of Hitler or Hitler-esque ranting, which crashes into The Happiest Days of Our Lives, which is also on this CD. Reminds me of Eye of a Tiger. The rhythmic qualities to it, the rhythm itself, and even to an extent the melody. And then after a while that goes into an almost African type instrumental section, and it crashes into Another Brick in the Wall Part 2, which is the number 1 hit single. Absolutely love it. Perfect song. From a kids' choir to a guitar solo at the end. Can't fault it. You're all familiar with it. Don't need to talk about it. We get teachers shouting. Goes into a telephone ringing, and that goes into Mother, which I recognise an element of. And then I realised that on Guns N' Roses Live in Tokyo videos, Axl sings a little "Ooh, gonna build a wall," that bit of it, a couple of times in between a couple of the songs. So that's the bit I recognised. Sort of a folky 60s type vibe to it, particularly in the first verse when the organ comes in on the second verse. It's almost a church-like organ. And about halfway through, guitar solo kicks in, another great guitar solo. I did find it dragged a bit, this track, to be honest. But not a bad track, just a bit too long. Flipped it over and we opened side 2 with Goodbye Blue Sky. Bit of bird song to start it and a child speaking. Then we get an acoustic folky guitar led song, but the keyboards are very ominous sounding, sort of almost reminded me of the keyboards in the Terminator soundtrack. Very folky 60s melody as well as the guitar having that vibe to it. But vocally, again, it had that ominous sound. It's a good song. We get train station sounds which go into empty spaces, which screaming guitar in the background, very anguished vocals. Not much of a melody, but it's very what's the phrase? Emotional song, if you like. And that kicks into Young Lust, which is a funky pop song, which is what it's meant to be in the narrative. I have been able so far to follow the narrative pretty well through the songs. It's not a sort of album where you have to scan the lyrics to work out what's going on. You just need to, listen to them hard enough to get the vibe. You don't need to pore over every word. But yeah, it's just a funky pop song, sort of 70s Stones type vibe to it. Liked it a lot. And at the end, phone ringing, somebody calling from America, but whoever's answering at the other end keeps hanging up. I think it's Pink is hanging up. Not entirely sure. That goes into One of My Turns, and it starts with some synth chords and a load of dialogue over the backing. It's a woman visiting Pink, I presume, talking about his house and rabbiting away, and he's having one of his turns. He's having a mental episode, if you like. So that dialogue sort of continues faintly under his vocals. It's very simple musically and vocally for the first half, but effective. And then halfway through, all the instrumentation kicks in. It did sort of give me a Genesis vibe, which is a good thing. I liked that one. Then we went into Don't Leave Me Now, and musically it sort of gave me a 60s Doctor Who backing music type vibe. The keyboard work, very anguished vocals again. Music kicks in right at the end. There's a proper, the full band, if you like, at the end. It's okay. Didn't wow me, that track. Sounds of him flicking through the TV, and then I think kicking it in at the end, and it goes into Another Brick in the Wall Part 3, which is sort of the heavier version, a bit more, not quite metal, but certainly heavy rock vibe to it. But again, it's got that melody that works. And we end the first disc with Goodbye Cruel World, which basically runs on a 2-note riff, with an organ just under a simple vocal melody, and then a very abrupt end to the ending to the side is what I meant to say. But yeah, enjoyed disc 1. Let's try the second disc. Okay, second album, disc, sides 3 and 4, whatever you want to call it. Opens with Hey You, which is also on the CD. It actually opens in the door. Acoustic guitar picked opening. I just listened to it. I just felt this is a proper song. No arty-farty crap. No over-the-top instrumentation. It was just a proper song. And all the good for it. The guitar solo on it had echoes of Another Brick in the Wall. Decent opener. And you get some film dialogue, which sort of continues into and through and over the next few tracks. We get into Is There Anybody Out There? Which is just some ominous organs. With the title, Is There Anybody Out There? Just shouted almost, or shout sung over a few times. And then it musically changes, and I wasn't quite sure whether it had gone into the next song or not, but it hadn't. And basically they play the Bond theme on an acoustic guitar, and that morphed slightly into Stairway to Heaven, but it was pretty. Then it goes into Nobody Here, which is a piano-led song, lots of echo. Well, not, I can say lots of echo. The vocals echo. It's not actually, I think it's actually sung separately and just lagging slightly behind it, which is nice. Musically different. There's horns on it, strings which sometimes I thought were real, sometimes I thought were synth, so it probably was a mixture of the two. It reminded me of Alan Price's song Between Today and Yesterday, not the melody but just musically, the stirring strings in it. But yeah, that's right up my alley. Liked that one a fair bit. Then it went into Vera, which I liked, but I can't describe. Yeah, I really can't describe that song, but what there was of it I liked. And then we get marching drums into Bring the Boys Back Home, which had choiry, operatic-y vocals, and I could have done without, basically. That goes into Comfortably Numb, which, listen to it, it's grown on me. The more times I hear it, the more I like it, but I still prefer the Sisters version. My problem with it is the verses. I don't like so much the structure of or not so much the structure, the melody of the verses. The chorus is fine, like the choruses a lot. Guitar at the end, excellent. That's the end of side 3. Side 4 opens with The Show Must Go On, and that's especially the vocal harmonies on it that open it reminded me of the song from Rocky Horror Show, Superheroes. There's echoes of Mother in it, decent enough track. Then we get Crowd Noise into In the Flesh, which is the same song that opened the album, but it's got different lyrics and a different vibe to it. So it's based on the same song, but it is largely different. There's a few sections that got a bit of doo-wop vocals in the backing, which I really liked. Then it's got a proper rock, because it's a song being performed at a concert, and it's got a proper rock song ending, which appealed to me. Then it went into Run Like Hell, which to me sounds like the song that gave U2 their career. Certainly the musical backing is very U2. I liked it. The melody was a bit simple, so there's not much to sort of say about it. You know, if you've heard a U2 song from the mid-80s, you've heard the music. And there wasn't much of a melody on top of that. It was okay. Then we went into Waiting for the Worms, and at the start and end there's lots of Beach Boys type harmonies, which I liked. Then in the middle, I couldn't quite put my finger on a description for the vocal and melodic style in the middle. It's almost sort of Chain Gang-esque. It did remind me of a song, but I can't remember what it was now. But yeah, I liked it. And that sort of builds and then Stop, which is a short musical rock opera type song that was just a sort of a narrative driver rather than an important piece of music. And then that went into The Trial. I really liked The Trial because it's proper musical theatre, which I love, but I didn't really feel it fitted on the album musically. It was very comedic and, as I say, very musical theatre. And while obviously narrative-wise it was an important song, I don't think the musical style fitted it. Or no, it fitted the song, but it didn't fit the album. And then The Wall comes crashing down, and we get Outside the Wall, which is a simple song, fairly short, just accordion and clarinet backing. It sort of gave me a sort of an In the Trenches feel. It's a simple little closer to the album. So, The Wall. My third Pink Floyd album. James, you're right. It's probably my favourite of the three. I preferred the first disc. The second one, obviously it's darker because of it's about his the first side 3 is pretty much about his mental health issues, and then side 4 is the fascist developments. So it's a lot darker, the second half. But overall, I think, yes, probably my favourite Pink Floyd album thus far. Where am I going to go with Floyd? I'm probably going to get the rest of their albums. This is going to be the last one I do in this series. Because it's not a Pink Floyd series. But I will probably pick up most of their other albums, if not all of them, as and when I find them at the right price. Yeah. What I want to know is, should I watch the film? I've never heard really good things about it, but I'm very curious. So I'm erring towards picking it up. Should I? Let me know. That's it. Okay, so yes, this is in my series of listening to classic albums for the first time. Suggestions, please. Albums that are on classic albums lists that you think possibly I may not have heard, or you just think I need to hear, whether I've already heard them or not, if you see what I mean. Drop me a line, let me know, and if I haven't heard them and they're on those lists, I'll add them to my list. Thank you for watching. Like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you in another video. Thanks. Bye.